Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein prodding the media for anonymous allegations on the Russian probe in a statement saying, quote, Americans should exercise caution before accepting as true any stories attributed to anonymous officials, particularly when they do not identify the country, let alone the branch or agency of government with which the alleged sources supposedly are affiliated. Americans should be skeptical about anonymous allegations. Here to discuss with you now, Gina and Ron Meyer. I would say even more than skepticism at this point, guys. It feels like there's a deliberate attempt, have been from day one, to delegitimize the presidency of Donald Trump, but I think is actually hurting us so much more because we're losing faith in all of these agencies that are supposed to protect us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Charles. It's really frustrating. I think it's frustrating for most of us who would rather be talking about getting things done for the American people. But that's why we have to know it's deliberate. It's deliberate by people in the media and by those Democrats who want to win in 2018. This is a strategy to get Democrats elected, to get everything focused on Russia, everything focused on Comey, everything focused on impeaching Trump, so Republicans don't get their agenda, so they don't build more roads on our highways, so they don't reform the tax code, so they don't repeal and replace Obamacare. Republicans are getting nothing done because of this distraction. And so when the media does things like this, when Democrats who work in the media do things like this is what happens. The entire agenda gets derailed, and the American people see no results for what they did last November.
Gina, I was thrilled to see this come out late last night, and I hope that it's just the first salvo. I hope that the wording gets stronger and it goes beyond just being a veiled threat.
Yes, because I think you're exactly right, Charles, because I think that we're used to thinking of the good old days when news media were credible, and if they were using a source, an anonymous source, it's because they actually knew that person, worked with that person, and knew them to be credible. I think the key part, the key word in this particular phrasing that he chose was saying, we don't even know what country these leaks are coming from. How absolutely ironic is it to consider that these leaks could be coming from our enemy countries, Charles, trying to make problems in our country by distracting from exactly the kinds of things that Ron was just talking about. A total irony that I think most of us never considered.
Well, yeah, maybe. I know, Ron, more and more people are considering that. And again, more and more people have considered, to Gina's point, that the media has lost all of its credibility, which is sort of sad. The fourth estate no longer a critical part of our lives.
There's a hilarious study that was just done that millennials who get all of their news from Facebook think that more than half of the news on Facebook is fake, right? And so when even millennials say, well, this is the only thing I get my news from and half of it's fake, that's when you know we've reached the bottom. When the media has lower credibility than Congress, who is getting nothing done, that's when you know we have a problem. We need honest journalism back. And you'd think that places like the Washington Post and the New York Times would realize that they're getting hit from every side and know that people don't trust them anymore, that they'd actually do real sourcing, that they wouldn't just cite anonymous, or that they'd say something more about the anonymous source than it's an official that would happen to know. It's like, what does that even mean? Give us some more context.
And Gina, I mean, speaking of the New York Times this week, it wasn't even an anonymous source. They went out with a story about Sarah Palin that they knew was a bald-faced lie. They put it out there, and they knew it was a discredited story and for years, and they still put it out there.
But Charles, they've been doing this for years, and they do this weekly. At least we see some story that was written, published with, and then the other thing is they'll print a minor correction in some back page of their website or newspaper, but they never formally apologize to the target, such as Governor Palin or someone else. And this is exactly why, Charles, their trustworthiness rating is lower than lower than Congress, lower than Trump's ever has been, ever will be. The media is finished in the mind of the American consumer.
To the New York Times readers, if you want your corrections, go straight to the obituary pages, and that's where you might find them. Guys,
or straight to James Comey. Or straight to James Comey.
That's right. James Comey. Hey, by the way, I do have some breaking news for you.